What's up guys, it's Punchy, and today's weekly Deepwoken patch was one of the most groundbreaking things for character creation with a ton of cosmetic updates, a race rework, and of course some new combat content that everyone can enjoy. I'll do my best to break down these changes so you know what's up, and let's get right into it. Starting off first with some new content involving mantras and a change to a beloved weapon that has become classic in the Deepwoken community. We have some changes, a majority of which belong to Iron Sing. Firing Line, a mantra that locks onto your target and shoots a barrage of guns, has changed up with its Blast Spark. Using the new modifier, Firing Line's Blast Spark transforms our line of rifles into dual cannons that do cannon things. This mantra shoots 2 explosive cannonball projectiles at the same exact time wherever you're aiming. Unfortunately, it's no longer auto-aim like the base Firing Line, but it should be an interesting way to snipe your enemy. Upon this, the basic Firing Line posture has also been increased, which means it should be better to apply pressure. Another Iron Sing mantra that was absolutely unbearable to use was chain pull. So essentially, you would pull your target close to do some damage, and it was so laggy, so slow, and hard to use that nobody really even, picked it up. Well, luckily, it has been buffed, so chain pull no longer slows the user during its wind up, it travels way faster, and its initial damage was buffed, no longer decaying. I guess this used to happen. But anyway, I'm a big fan of keeping my targets in combos, and this might be the right time to give this mantra a second shot. Rocket Lance, a 3-star metal mantra, has received a partial rework alongside a decrease to its windup. So basically this move comes out a little bit faster to hit enemies, but its secondary effect ragdolls enemy players backwards instead of dragging them along. This should be a little bit better for actual combos, but it may remove the insane knockback from Rocket Lance, and I guess we'll see. Metal Gatling, a 3-star option, also got a buff as well. So last time its targeting effectiveness was hugely improved, and now its windup is also a bit faster. This should mean it may be easier to throw out during combos, and it will force players to react while you prep your next move. A huge buff for Iron Sing is the buff coming to Iron Slam. So this mantra has been pretty good for a while now with its hitbox, but it should instantly guard break enemies at level 5. I'm definitely happy to see this, but it may be a little bit broken. Metal Kick got hit with a smaller nerf with its windup being increased, but it should be a nice option to slam players down still. I also think the visual on this attack is actually fixed now, so it should not be unreactable to fight against. Metal Eruption, posture damage has been overall nerfed since it does less damage based on the size of the attack. Players would basically generate huge chunks of iron to snipe enemy blocks with Metal Eruption, and I guess it was a little bit too free to apply pressure. A surprising nerf for most players, but Metal Rampart windup has been hit, and why is this happening? Well, this mobility mantra has a hitbox that was very easy to throw out and slam enemies, essentially proccing a free gem and extending combos, and yeah, it was increased this update, so we'll see how that works. The final Iron Sing change I'll bring up is for the Conductor path, which is one of my favorite options to run with this attunement. Again, this isn't everything that's changing, but I wanted to highlight some changes to Iron Sing that I thought were important. Enemies with Conductor rods stuck on them will now lose small amounts of armor durability whenever they cast a mantra, so this is great because it already reflects elemental status back to the target, consistently drains more armor on the placement, and now it punishes enemies for using mantras, so this may be a huge Conductor buff. Moving on, Iron Tether, a fun hybrid option that received huge overall buffs. This should be pretty exciting. Iron Tether windup has been reduced from 0.5 seconds to 0.4 seconds, and its cooldown has been reduced, so it should also be easier to throw out. That's cool, but what I think is crazy is that Iron Tether now ignores block fully and dazes on the actual hit, so this will be powerful in combat, that's for sure. Upon this, Iron Tether has received 2 different sparks that can be used at the same exact time, and they're also really fun. So, Iron Tether's multiplying spark turns our normal single tether into 3, and this looks pretty scary, I'm not gonna lie. Now, the magnet spark of Iron Tether allows this mantra to move back and forth in a set location, so you can set up traps and deny an entire area. The interesting part about these sparks is that you can use both of them at the same time to have 3 moving lines of death that catch people inside. Hopefully with these new buffs to Iron Tether, we will see smarter play and insane setups. A fairly new mantra, Ice Carve, is a basic slashing mantra that multi-hits and applies some good frost, but now it also has a spark. The new Ice Carve Spring Spark throws the ice in a disc-like projectile where it can hit targets from range, and this should have a dual hitbox, one that hurts the enemy on the way out, and when it boomerangs back to the user. Moving on, the Shatter Katana has also received a new critical attack that you can actually use both with the old and new one. The older critical was a linear slash that moved the target forward, but it suffered because it was so easy to see coming and, you know, people just countered. Luckily though, the one-handed critical maintains this old katana slash, so don't worry, you can still use this. Anyway, the two-handed stance for the Shattered has a few initial slashes, followed by a spinning radius that also does damage. There's a small delay between these two attacks, so you could probably move stack some mantras, and it is really cool. A new alloyed weapon was added called the Alloyed Inheritor. This is the upgraded version of the Markor's Inheritor, which is a very fast swinging greatsword with an evade guard break critical, and it will be pretty good, I think, in endgame content. It also looks a little bit different. In this update, we also got ourselves a new talent with Dawnwalker, which synergizes with the rest of its kit, and it's honestly amazing. This talent is called Luminous Flash. Basically, it's Black Flash. After dealing a certain amount of damage in absolute radiance, after you hit a Dawnwalker move, you gain a chance to empower your strikes with pure light. And what does this mean? Luminous Flash lets you glow a bunch of crazy colors and your M1's dazed targets while doing massive damage. This is honestly crazy, but I won't lie, I kinda like it. That's it for all of those new mantra additions and Iron Sing changes, but let's get right into the largest cosmetic update Deepwoken has ever seen. A huge generic change that came to all Deepwoken races is the ability to change skin tone. So within this new update, you should be able to change your skin tone from the character creation menu and at barbers to allow for any and all skin tone based off your race's initial color. It's now possible to make your character look human because of this, and I absolutely love that they added it. Next up, for every single race, it's way easier to dye your hair color that's different from your original hair. So there should be less restriction, allowing you to get more variety in your hair or, you know, different colors that you wouldn't see before, so that's pretty cool. Another great update available to all races is the ability to finally dye our eyes. With a simple dye packet, you can pick any color and it works, meaning any character is possible even without the use of an oath. Dyeing your eyes will change the color of your vision shaper particles, and this has priority over the oath appearance. The same thing applies to Blind Seer. Dyeing your eyes also dyes the oath eye. On the topic of oaths, you can essentially dye every single oath cosmetic, and this is so awesome. Jet Shrekker Aura can now be modified so it looks like colorful wind. The Link Shredder Mantle also has that option, so we're no longer stuck to that bright blue color. Dawnwalker Halo is not always going to be locked at pure white, it can be any color now, and that's cool. Contractor Strings also received the same treatment, letting us finally switch off that dark red color that was almost impossible to see. Star Kindred Wings can now be dyed individually from the user's hair, and that's awesome. And don't worry, you can also dye the Fade Trimmer Scissors. That's it for cosmetic changes all around the board, so let's get a little bit more specific, moving on to Ganymede and its entire hat rework. When creating a Ganymede character, you should notice that there is a new variant called Tethies. This variant is like mint chip ice cream because we got green, brown, and black, and it looks pretty cool. But the most important part about this change are the new updated hats for the Ganymede Deep Folk. So when customizing your character, you'll have 3 options to pick from, and they're clean compared to the original design. In-game, you can actually smelt this onto your head equipment at a smelting NPC, and you can also dye this with a unique option that we need to see on more drip. You can dye both the top of your hat and the underside beneath it 2 different colors, and that is just so clean. Next up, with Canor, this is essentially the human race because we can do that now. When customizing our character or speaking to a barber, we can fully choose to disable our Canor tattoos or use normal facial markings instead. On top of this, we can also turn off the Canorian sideburns, which used to be kinda obstructive, and finally, there are 2 new faces for the Canor race, both of which have those mean eyes, so we can make some edgelord builds just like always. It's also possible to dye Canor markings different colors. Surprisingly, Vesperian also got some love with this drip update, so we can now individually change the color of our base mask and the ink on top of it, which is huge for those Vesperian players. Con crowns are also available to be dyed, granting us even more possibility, which is nice. Capra players will be able to change the color of their horns and skull, which they could not alter before. The Grimoire race can also change their horn colors, so, you know, horns should be fully dyeable. Adret tattoos are also fully dyeable, so you can customize your drip as much as you'd like. For drip, I think that's about it. There was so much added in this update for character creation, I cannot wait wait to hop in and make some absolutely, you know, crazy anime characters in Deepwoken. Seriously, if you have a character you want to show me in game after this update, just DM me a photo or comment down below who I should make. And that's about it. Of course, I didn't talk about everything about balance in this update, but you can check it out for yourself in game. I'm super glad that all of these cosmetic changes and sparks were added in this update, and for real, expect some crazy stuff coming up soon. As always, for exclusive update content, make sure to like and subscribe, and have a good one. It's punchin' time.